Welcome back, everyone. Now we're going to dive into Module 4, Enumeration. Module objectives are going to be understanding enumeration concepts, understanding different techniques for NetBIOS enumeration, understanding different techniques for SNMP enumeration, understanding techniques for LDAP enumeration, NTP enumeration, SMTP and DNS enumeration, and we're going to talk about enumeration countermeasures, and we're going to discuss an overview of pen testing and how enumeration relates. So we're going to be discussing concepts and just what we just talked about, right? This is all the same thing. It's kind of a review here. What is enumeration? So in the enumeration phase, an attacker creates active connections to systems and performs directed queries to gain information about the target. And then attackers use the extracted information to identify systems, attack ports, and perform password attacks to gain unauthorized system or access to information system resources. As well as enumeration techniques are conducted in an intranet environment. So it's going to be on the outside, right? You're trying to figure out what are the usernames on this system? What are the ports on this system? So you're just kind of enumerating a list of things, right? So information enumerated by intruders, network resources, network shares, routing tables, audit and service settings, SNMP and DNS details, machine names, users and groups, and applications and banners. So we're going to grab all the banners and we're going to kind of see what type of system this is, and then we're going to start trying to guess usernames. If we don't have things in place like CAPTCHA, then we can do that successfully. Techniques for enumeration. So extract usernames using email IDs. Extract usernames using SNMP. So how do you do it with email IDs? You just start sending emails until they bounce. And then when they don't bounce, you know that user didn't exist. Number 2 is actually extract information using the default passwords. So you can see if the default passwords work. And then usernames using SNMP, Simple Network Management Protocol. Brute forcing the AD, the Active Directory. And extract user groups from Windows. Extract information using DNS zone transfers. We talked about that previously. So services and ports to enumerate. TCP UDP 53, that's DNS. UDP 161, the Simple Network Management Protocol. TCP UDP 135. By the way, you're going to need to know all of these ports and what they are for the test. You're going to actually have a chart where you got to fill them in on some of the tests. They are multiple choice, but you have to figure out which letter goes first and for which port. So make sure you remember this slide. TCP UDP 135 is the RPC protocol. TCP UDP 389, LDAP. UDP 137, NetBIOS name service, so NetBIOS. TCP UDP 3268 is a global catalog service. TCP 139 is NetBIOS. And the NetBIOS name server is 137. So NetBIOS is 137 and 139, and that's how you'll see that question. They'll combine those. TCP 25, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, SMTP. TCP UDP 445, SMB over TCP, direct host. And then TCP UDP 162 is an SNMP trap. So let's talk about NetBIOS enumeration specifically. So NetBIOS, the name is a unique 16 ASCII character string used to identify the network devices. Over TCP, 15 characters are used for the device name, and the 16th character is reserved for the service or name record type. So network attackers use the NetBIOS enumeration to obtain the list of computers that belongs to a domain, the list of shares on the individual hosts in the network, policies, and passwords. So the NetBIOS name list is, we have under the name NetBIOS, there's a name column, a NetBIOS column, a type column, and an information obtained column. And under the names, we have hostname, domain, hostname, username, hostname, domain, and domain again. So you have different types of codes and stuff like that. So you can kind of take a look here how this works. NetBIOS enumeration, NBT stat utility in Windows displays NetBIOS over TCP, which is NBT stat. And protocol statistics, NetBIOS name table for both the local and remote computers and the NetBIOS name cache. And in case you don't know what the heck this is what's used instead of TCP IP. except it's much more difficult to troubleshoot. So if you don't use IP, you just use NetBIOS enumeration on a bunch of Windows hosts, and you're not using TCP/IP networking, so the machines don't have TCP/IP addresses, then the host will still show up on other computers on under the network, the My Computer network lists, but they do it over NetBIOS, and it takes about 15 minutes to completely resolve all the communication and everything. It's very slow compared to TCP/IP. So just understand that that's what the service is. It's just a network communication. So you put this machine on a network, you're not using IPv4 or IPv6. Those are unchecked in the networking protocols, but you have NetBIOS checked. The computers can still communicate with each other over NetBIOS. So if you run the nbtstat command, nbtstat.exe --c, to get the contents, which is the -c of the NetBIOS name cache, the table of the NetBIOS names, and their resolved IP addresses. This is very important to know how to interact with this, not graphically, like through the CLI, the command line interface, if you're going to be an attacker, because a lot of times you only get a console. You want to run nbtstat command, nbtstat.exe-a, IP address of the remote machine to get the NetBIOS name tables of the remote computer.